Right, so we move on to the next set from box 18. There's quite a few in there. I think there's 5. That was we did the base station Harvard H407 last. Belonging this trade customer, 6th of March. Not 03, it's 2023. So this is a Rotel RVC240 supposed to be. Now, he sent it to me because he knows he's got a problem which is beyond what he would want to cope with. 20906019. It's got a switch at the back, and that doesn't bode well, does it? I'm sure it's not a replacement on and off switch. And it says, oh, it's a Rotel 134. Yeah, well, I'll let Matey remove all the stickers. So it's come with side bobbles, which will probably get lost. Or thumb screws, or is that a torture? And we understand that this has been illegally turned into an 80 channel set, so that's got to be reversed. So it says here, loads of mods, please can you remove and service. So I can see we're going to be probably 3 sessions on this. Right, pop the speaker off. Oh dear, what have we got? So that looks to me like the Roger bleep. One of the most frustrating things to me is that a lot of the time the daft people who do these illegal modifications, they go and use one of the switches, you know, like public address or high-low power or high-low tone or something like that, to activate the naughty bit, and then all that's got to be researched and rewired. What you tend to find, this has been done to some of the better sets like this, and you tend to therefore find that some of the cheaper sets don't get the daft and illegal modifications done to them. I am intrigued as to whether this works, so we're gonna test this as presented. And it's going to be into the dummy load, so it's not like I'm going to put it on the air and do anything illegal. So we will power it up. I'm sure we've got off to Sheffield shortly to drop some radios back to a dealer there. I'd rather do it personally when there's a box full. Here goes, 13.8 volts. Now this straight away went into transmit, which is very frustrating because I hadn't got the test set into the right mode. Now if I didn't have this test set and I was using individuals, that could have gone into transmit when I was actually connected to a signal generator and killed the signal generator. So that's ridiculous thing number 1. Set should not be going into transmit when you power them up. Let's see whether it does that again, and this time we'll have picture in picture on. It played a stupid tune. No, it didn't do it this time. Let's put the right camera on. There we go. So we're powered up, and oh, it's on channel 9, so get it out of there. Channel 20, so we want it. I'll just plug the instrument test speaker in, and we'll just plug the public address speaker in. Let's start on public address. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5. Yeah, wasn't that clever? So, as we've got at the moment, that's working, PA's working. You really want that coming over PA, don't you? So, does that deactivate it? I'll just go back to PA. I wonder if that switch deactivates it. It does. Good. When it's activated it once again, back to CB. Right. So, it says channel 20. Let's see what it's transmitting on. So let's go on to the frequency counter straight away and see what that's doing. So it's 2779081. So it's off frequency, but not illegally off frequency. But it's starting to get noticeable at that. So 27779. I've already forgotten 081, wasn't it? I'll give it 080 then. 080. Just look at deviation. When I can select the right camera. 1 2 wallow. No, that can't be right. Oh, I'm on the wrong one, aren't I? Wallow. It's 3.2. It's not scary. It's not right, but it's not scary. Transmit power. Channel 20. We're over the 3 watts. It's bang on 4 watts. And we're drawing 1121 milliamps. So we'll pop it to channel 40, and it's doing 3.8 watts, which is probably it's ideal if they're within 0.1, but they can't always do that. And it's doing 4 watts on there. Perhaps we can balance that a bit better. On low power. Where's low power on these? On low power, it's doing 200 milliwatts. So it's supposed to be 400 milliwatts, but that doesn't matter. And the sensitivity on receive. So we'll just retune the signal generator just to be fair. And go to channel 20. Controls are a bit dirty. So is RF gain up? No. Actually, mic gain wasn't up either. Wallow. 1 2 1 2. No, it's made no difference. So that's okay. So sensitivity, we'll go back to that. It's doing. That's not too scary. 2 microvolts. The 12 it's doing 650, so that's 0.65. They usually will work better than this. And for 10 it's doing 0.5 microvolts. Squelch tight. I like it to be 100 microvolts. That's 30. That's, you know, it's not faulty. It's just my personal preference, really. I like them all the same at 100 if I can do that. And then if we go down to turning single generator back to standby, we'll set the squelch to threshold. It's a bit dirty, that, so it's going to want cleaning. It's 1 microvolt. I've got them in the wrong columns. 1 microvolt, 30 microvolts. Right. So the meter is reading 3.8, and at S9 it's absolutely bob on S9. So dirty. So what's this do? It looks like it's doing something illegal with the frequencies. How do I activate it? So it's not on public address. Is it on normal clear? So I'm going to put the frequency counter up. Is this to bamboozle Busby? Yeah, it's legal, mate. Yeah. We're on channel 20. What's it say now? Still on frequency, so it's not that. Is it on channel 9? Yes, it is. So when you select channel 9, instead of it going to channel 9, it now goes to 5, 8. Well, it's kind of between frequencies, isn't it? It's just out. It's so off that it isn't doing it. So if I go to, or is this a fixed frequency? It's a fixed frequency, isn't it? Because channel 40 on CPT is 27405, isn't it, without me looking it up, and channel 1 is 60125. Is that, if that's supposed to be 585, it's like a illegal channel neither in CPT nor in the UK set. So it's kind of -1 that isn't. There's a relay in there. Can I hear that relay click when I select this switch? No, I can't. Alright, so take it back to normal. Hang on a minute, what's happening here? So 79125, channel 20, just check it still is there. It is. Putting channel 9 on should bring it to 68125. It does. So no, it's not on channel 9, it's on the clear normal. So channel 1 now becomes 27.5, and channel 40 becomes 27.9. I really don't know what they're playing at. Anyway, it's coming out. So it doesn't look, I don't think it's got illegally fitted channels. It's kind of got this in between. That's one of the side bubbles on the floor. Yeah, it's kind of got in between. I just don't know what they're doing. Anyway, it's going in the bin. So, we'll switch it off. It's such a lot of work though, which is so unnecessary. We'll come back to Roger Bleep, but I don't want to kind of do two removals and modifications at the same time. Oh, it's shifting. It looks like it's shifting the crystal. It's shifting the reference crystal, isn't it? So that means that when this is in operation, it throws the IF out, so it never works properly. Because the intermediate frequency gets its reference from this crystal, because the intermediate frequency is 10.695 for one of the IFs and 455 kilohertz for the other. Add the two up and you get to 10.24, which is the reference crystal. So if you change the reference crystal, you end up with the IF being out. So that's the 10.24 crystal, which needs to come off this board and be put on the main board. So we've got an earth tag there. And the switch does indeed go down to the clear normal switch. So we'll cut that, and then we'll pop those two badly soldered wires out. Not sure what that black wire is. I might have to check on another set. Don't recall that being. And there's the doorbell. Okay, having been to Sheffield and back, we've got this silly thing with a relay and two trimmers out. What on earth is this? Oh, they've potted it, have they, because they're stupid. Oh, it must be so secret. More junk for the bin. So we'll deal with the Roger Bleep later. I wanted to make sure this set works, and we're going to have to spend a lot of time rewiring this clear normal switch. I'll look at the circuit diagram. I may have to open up one of our own sets. I'm not sure whether there's extra wiring or what. So we'll leave that as it is for now. And we'll start with the VCO. So at least it hadn't been 80 channeled, which can be probably more challenging to reverse. And they never work properly, do they, when they've had this kind of treatment? Well, often it's what kills the set. Oh, it's on these. It's not negative earth, is it? It's we'll use that as the earth. Mr. Chippy's lead. So, hello, things are walking all over the place. So if we, I can tell you what, we'll unplug the PA speaker because we've proved that works. So we'll go on to the VCO. So it starts on channel 40 on these sets. Resistor 4 far end. Full volt. Volume control is going to annoy me. 4.15 is okay, but I'll just pop it down a fraction. I think I'd rather have it there. So going to transmit, should be about 4 volts. Again, it's just not quite there. So we'll adjust the red trimmer if I can find it. Whichever way I turn this will be the wrong way. Hey, it was the right way this time. So that's a bit nearer to 4. So we'll go to receive, and it's still around about 4. So channel 1. Make sure I'm actually on 1 and not where I was. I've now got the set on top of the curly lead. So we want it to be one. It says in the manual, if I looked, it's something like 1.8 to 2.3, 2.4, something like that. So that's fine. That's right in the middle. And on transmit, it's 2.15. So that's the VCO done. It wasn't out. You know, that could have been left, but we check these things. So it was 40. It was 4.15, 3.68, and then it's now 3.68. So now it's was it 3. Let's just 3.90, 3.95. We'll do the frequency. Obviously that's changed because we've taken this crystal off the board. So I'm hoping we'll better go to channel 20. That would help, wouldn't it? So we want 27.79125. So I say it's totally different to where it was because of having been taken off the board and that. So see whether it'll go. Let's hope it does. It's going to be near enough wherever it goes. Look at that. Just slightly higher, just how we like it. 27.79127. Excellent. So we need to retune the transmitter. So staying on channel 20, we'll go over to the appropriate camera and can we do this on? No, we can't. It's like 4.1 volts. It's 4.1 watts. It's not illegally out of balance or anything. I just hope it isn't being thrashed. So far so good. Now we need to peak these and peak them quickly. As I said before, you've got to put this up to full whack and then drop it down to balance it. And I keep saying, back in the days when I was doing Pi Olympics, there was a 60 watt PA for a 10 watt output, and when you peak this up, the radio's smoked. So I know that this isn't capable of... That was absolute maximum, that's not a good sign. That wasn't far off being absolute maximum. And that wasn't absolute maximum. So we've now got 4.5. So it's clockwise for 4.4 on that one. I'm just going to have to check, you know, it doesn't matter how many times I do these. Avalanche of mics. 4.4 clockwise. Yeah. L4 is 4.4, and then this they want you to turn anti-clockwise till you get to 3.8 watts. But of course the legal limit is 4 watts, and so 4 watts is what we'll set it to, and that's bang on 4. Then it really wants to be within 0.1 between channel 1 and channel 40. So here we are on channel 1, and it's doing, I would like to say 3.98 or something like that. It's so near to being 4. And then on channel 40, it's exactly the same. So we'll just go and recheck channel 20, just in case. No, it's spot on 4. So there we go. That is absolutely perfect. So I'm glad that's balanced, and I'm glad it wasn't quite thrashed. Right, the meter was 3.8 watts it was showing, and this of course can only be set into a dummy load, and when you put an aerial on it, it'll mean diddly squat, because it could be anything. It's about 3.5 still, so we'll just adjust that. We'll just adjust, that's a good phrase, to read the spot on the 4. Right, deviations. So I want this one to be in its central position, which it most certainly isn't. Now then, what can we get in there? It's far from ideal, these being vertical. So I want that feedback one into the central position, and then the other one we'll now adjust. It is an unusual arrangement. So 3 point something there. So if we drop, really you did the wrong one. If we drop that to 2, chances are it's about there. Wallow. It actually could just do with a fraction more. Wallow. Spot on. So we've actually brought the power up at that edge. So there we go. We'll do that next. That now reads 4 watts, so that's correct. And we'll look at transmit current 1.129. 1.129, so it's about the same. And then low power, see if we can adjust it. Often this needs cleaning. Low power's on the front on these. That volume control is going to annoy me. You know what? It's now 400 milliwatts. I'll waggle this about because they can play up. It's supposed to be 400 milliwatts. So and that's now 2.2 is an average and 2.5 absolute peak. So obviously there's going to be some waste of time having to rewire that switch which has been messed with. At least I haven't done a stupid squelch modification. So let's see if we can adjust the receiver. So it wasn't brilliant. It wasn't deaf, but I think the set's capable of better. So we'll switch the oscilloscope on, and we'll go to the signal generator. Right, so we want an S9 equivalent signal of 100 microvolts on, and try and get the volume such that I get a meaningful type of trace. We'll turn the meter off. I think we're done with that for now. So the detector's there. Absolutely spot on as it was. So that's nice. Right, we'll go over to the cyanide meter. And I've tuned that so we've got about enough 4 dB cyanide, and we'll start tuning from there. So you get the extra circuit in this model, not the extra circuit you get in the base station. We'll start with that one. Wow. I'm going to have to change scales. That's really improved. No change there. Nothing significant there. Put a bigger signal on for these. Smaller one on for that. I'll just go back to that first one. See if we can read off what we've got now. Change scales. So we start with back to the 1 microvolt scale on the attenuator. So for 12 dB, we've now got 0.39. For 10 dB, 0.3. Let's see if we can still get 20. Yeah, we can. It's 1 microvolt. Good. Well, that's a nice improvement. So putting 100 microvolts back on the signal generator, we want to check the S meter. It was absolutely spot on as it was. It isn't now because the tune's been tuned up, so it's now reading a bit generous. That's now spot on. Now we'll see where the squelch is. So I'll turn the squelch up to full. Yeah, it's still 30 microvolts, so just need to adjust the squelch a little bit. That's it. 100 microvolts, it's coming in now. That's where I want it to be. And then see at the sensitive end. So I'll park the signal generator at 0.3 of a microvolt. That's also dirty, and it's a bit of a pain to find threshold. Here we go. It's opening at 0.3. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to clean these controls because that didn't work, because these, where I wanted the squelch to be was a dirty spot. So I'll pause. Okay, we'll do that test again. Set the threshold and see when it comes in. 0.3 of a microvolt. We could say 0.31. So that's okay. Very much okay. So I've done the potentiometers. Both the sockets work. Switches, well, they don't, do they? Because it's remove illegal modification. Channels in between channels. Remove Roger bleep. Come on out. Oh, it's got a date on it. 1984. Must have been a bad year. I bet they're really proud of fitting that. It's toothpaste. Colgate. It's a Roger 5-tone Colgate. Right. The switch can stay in place. The earth wire can come off. I think we'll cut the power one off rather than start damaging other soldered stuff. I'll probably have to remove the front to do the switch restoration. Try as I might, I'm struggling to get this off. Masking tape, eh? Not insulating tape. So I haven't got the foggiest where that goes. Chances are... Oh, chances are there's only one being removed. So it must be that one. Just tidy that up a little bit. Oh, that was easier than I thought, as long as it works. go. Right, switch the set back on. Put the inset picture back onto that main meter. Let's see if it keys up. It does. Let's see if we've got transmitted audio. Wow, we have. Excellent. Well, that's reversed that. That was easy. The really hard one is going to be putting that switch back right, because this front's going to have to come off. It just isn't enough without marring the front with the soldering iron. So I'm going to have to pause the video and let's hope I can. I've only got 20 minutes left, or I have to go on until tomorrow. I'm already at 7:10 and I try and finish work at 5:30. Right, here's my own one that I'm about to open up. Not the best condition. It's got a cracked front and it's been taped back together. So this is one of the ones which I may be looking at in the future, subject to actually having some innards in it. This is what's so time consuming. Putting this back right will take twice as long as the rest of the job. And I think there's a coil missing, which there's nothing I'll be able to do about it. Luckily that coil's used in the high position, which is unlikely to get wanted. So it's a 22 microfarad capacitor has to go across. What on earth is on there? Oh, to be honest, apart from the dodgy front, that looks alright. Oh, it's had a bit of heat there. It's probably been reverse polarity with no... It's had the diode changed at some time. But it does verify that we should have that wiring. And we can see, especially, well, I can't see, but if I change the glasses, we can see we've got this blue wire, which is interesting because someone's put an arrow there. Oh, look, it's had some work there. That's in the receiver. So that's blue wire, which doesn't go anywhere, goes to the top, in other words, the clear position. And then there's a green wire, goes from the bottom position and disappears where? Oh yes, it disappears to the green wire is the one that goes to the mic socket. So I'm going to unplug this aerial, unplug everything. So this green wire here they've got it going to mic gain. And on my set, we have a brown wire which goes from that mic gain position, no doubt, to this. Yeah, we do. See, you know, you've got to have another set to do this. You can't work this out from the circuit, it's just not obvious. So if I undo that, tidy up that end. Wouldn't it have been easier for them to just put another stupid switch at the back for their silliness? So this has been messed about and ruined in 1984. So this 22 microfarad capacitor goes between the centre, so we've got positive to the centre and negative to the green wire. That green wire which I now need to put to the switch. So the red wire, which is currently on the switch, no pun intended, is a red herring. Goodbye, red wire. I'm just wondering if it's possibly the easiest thing to take the switch out, then we can fit the capacitor properly. You can't detach the metal front bit, you can't swivel it round because you've got the channel selector switch soldered to a subboard which is on the chassis. So at the moment this black wire's on the top. So we need a 22 microfarad capacitor. And it actually says 50 volts, which surprises me, but that's what it says. So what I need to do is to clean I've just done that so that it doesn't come out of the... So I obviously need a Rotel 240 front for mine, don't I? But that looks in better condition than I thought. So having done that, having cleaned it out, I've put the capacitor in place and I've J-hooked it round because this is going to have to be put back and then the wire's just soldered on. So hopefully we can solder these in. After all this, I hope the switch works. And we'll trim that excess off. Right, so we've got the positive to that. We know this was the top of the radio, so we've got it exactly like the one in my set. So I now need to have the blue wire. Well, I can... Yeah, the blue wire is where this black one is. Well, that was easy enough. Just see if we can clean a little bit of solder out of that hole. Now we'll only be able to tag that on, unfortunately. I don't want to shorten the wire. Right, so that's the top. And so we now need to introduce a brown wire. So a brown wire that goes to the middle position. Is there any brown wire that I just chopped out of that piece of junk? We might find a bit of brown wire in a scrap set. This is such a shame. This is a Colt 355. You just see so few of them, and we just bought this as a scrap chassis some years ago at a radio rally, and you think, what a shame that somebody's ruined this. So I'll tell you what, we'll have the brown wire out of this one. I do have reels of wire, by the way. I'm not going to go into a different department to go and fetch it. It's not the tuppence cost. I hope it's long enough after all this. Right. So, where's that got to go? So it goes from the centre tag via the floor centre tag to the squelch control. That'll be alright. So you can see I'm making sure we put the wires on before screwing the switch back, just so that it makes it so much easier than trying to poke a screwdriver through a 1/2 inch hole. Did I say screwdriver? I meant soldering iron. We're not going to be able to do a scratchy corner test. We've gone over the time limit. So that's our brown wire. And then the green wire, which goes to the mic, we'll actually, best thing to do is to unsolder that from the mic. And then put that to the lower end. And then all the wiring to this switch has been done. Again, I'll tidy that up a little bit. Now I'm hoping the choke is on the printed circuit board somewhere, because I certainly can't see it dangling. Not that I don't think anybody ever uses this facility, because it's a bit of a rubbish facility, to be honest. So there we go. We've got the wiring in. So we've got the blue wire. We know that's the top. All we've got to do is to thread that switch back into its position and screw it in place. And actually easier than it could have been. Anyway, once we've got a few customers' repairs out of the way, and I think it's a Cobra SOS emergency set. I think as soon as he saw mine, either he or one of his customers went out to buy one. Put the little shroud back on, just like that. So we know that the green wire goes to the microphone, then we know that the brown wire goes to the squelch control, and those two should be linked together. It is used as a rheostat. The brown wire that came out of an unfortunate, poor, scrapped Colt 355. What a shame. Right, we'll put some solder on that wire, otherwise known as tinning it. And then we can solder that. I think what we'll do, we'll solder those two bits together. And then we'll introduce that wire. Right, I have got rid of the label off the front panel. So we'll connect this back up. So when I come back to this tomorrow, all I'll need to do is, because all the tuning's done, all we need to do is to just plug the aerial in and flick round the channels. I really have gone well over the time on this for today. I think we'll just plug the extension speaker, and we don't need the test instruments. Power on, 13.8 volts, and we're lit up. Need to put a mic in. We're on channel 9 now. Then I'm going to have to look at my set to see what the knobs do. So that wants cleaning. Channel 20 on. So we're in normal down. Make sure Delta Tune's in the middle. So it's the third one in we're dealing with. Monitor receiver. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Wallow. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Got no transmitted audio. Right, well, we'll have to come back to this tomorrow. He's well out of time. So something has not worked out. Could be a duff switch. We'll find out. As soon as I walked away from this yesterday evening, and it's now 8 o'clock the next morning, I saw in my mind's eye exactly what stupid thing I'd done. And that was to connect the brown wire to the squelch control, and of course the brown wire goes to the mic gain control, just like you'd expect. So it's simple. It's going to be absolutely as simple as that. I could have come back and switched back on, but it was too late to start messing about. I'm going to cut that off. Right, there we go. Right, switch the power supply on. Check the radios into the test set. Switch the monitor receiver on.
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3.
And of course that was all that it needed. I'll just check the deviation. I don't need to show you that. Wallow, 1 2, wallow. Right, we're done. Electronics is done. Oh, does it make any difference? That's what we were going to find out, wasn't it? So it's difficult to monitor it like this, but
Testing 1 2, that should be the normal position, and that should be the other 1 2 1 2.
well, it's giving me feedback in one and not the other, so it proves that the capacitor is making a difference. Right, we'll now get the... I'll go and clean the front. We've taken the label off with a chemical label remover. Contact spelt with a K is the type. I think it's German. So I was able to find a foam cleanser and just cleaned it over a little bit. I'm not trying to do some restoration on the front, but certainly getting rid of that sticker and all the nastiness that went with it. I was covering the CB27 81 badge quite aptly because it had been turned into an illegal set, so they weren't pretending anything there. So other than that, it's not so bad. I'm just going to clean over where that crystal's been removed and subsequently put back by me, because the removal previously was a bit of a dirty solder job. So we'll just do that with the isopropyl alcohol. To dry. And there's been something done there at some time. Sometimes you can find dry joints that have been masked by burnt flux. I'll pop the lids back on that. So if any of you have got a scrap front kicking around, because I know even these are high-end sets, they can be messed with so badly that they end up being scrap. So we might even purchase that off you. And then that'll be another set we can resurrect. And that's why I've got one of every model, because we really would have been not able to restore that feature. The normal clear, pretty useless, but we wouldn't have been able to restore it without having another set available to compare with, because the circuit diagrams are a bit inconclusive, shall we say. So I'll just pop these screws in. I think we'll pause the video while I do that. Right, we'll flick round these channels. Now we're on the aerial. 1 Anna Roger. 19 on Roger.
19, Roger alarm.
Well, I actually heard something incredible. Right, we'll do an on-the-air test later. Lots of work there just because of somebody's silliness in 1984. But it's now turned back into a legal set and will no doubt be a wonderful thing for somebody to use. Thanks for watching.